STEM 37, we'll be looking at how do athletes train for improved performance, concentrating here. The main areas for us will be flexibility training, static, dynamic and ballistic, with an element of static also including P&F. And we've covered this previously already in Core 2, so it'll be a little bit of a recap. There are some videos and pictures in here that you've seen before just to keep you familiar with what flexibility training is all about. So again, I've just put this in there for us to get an idea. When we talk about static, the S for static being used here is S for still. Ballistic, the B for ballistic equals B for bouncing. P and F, the P from P and F means partner, and dynamic is the new way that we're currently trying to stretch. So static flexibility training is achieved by the athlete moving slowly and steadily into a position beyond the point of resistance in order to stretch the muscle. The stretch is held for 10 to 30 seconds, performed correctly without any jerking movements. That's why it's static, it's still. This is a safe method of gaining flexibility. Proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, which is P&F, is a form of static stretch and is the most effective method of improving performance. In P&F stretching, the muscle is stretched as in static stretching. However, it is then contracted isometrically. So the muscle is activated, but there is no movement for 6 to 10 seconds against the resistance, which is often provided by a partner. The muscle is then relaxed and stretched to its maximum. This allows a greater range of movement and improved flexibility. So there are two static flexibility trainings. We have static and we have P&F. Here's a picture of a young lady who's doing a static stretch for their hamstring. So she's sitting still. What you'll notice is there's no movements throughout this stretch. She sits still for 10 to 30 seconds to improve the flexibility in the hamstring. Dynamic flexibility training. Dynamic or range of motion, RIM, stretching involves movement. While not generally used to improve flexibility, it has a useful application in warm-up routines. The movement replicates those required in a sport or activity and simulate elongation, so lengthening of tissues by increasing temperature. Examples are torso twists and arm circling, which can be formed before competing in team sports or swimming. Again, movements that are specific to the sport. So we just got a warm up here. Let's have a look at it. So this is our type of dynamic stretching. So we know there's some movement. So these are the side squats, some lunges, walking forward. So there's movement occurring throughout this type of stretching. This is the ideal way of stretching now. You'll see a lot of sporting teams going through this form of stretching prior to an event. Stretching the calf muscles. So just warming up and stretching the muscles involved around the heels and the ankles. These are some basic types here. We now look at ballistic flexibility training. Ballistic stretching involves using momentum to force muscles up to and past their normal range of motion. The exercise typically involves swinging or bouncing movements, and great care is required as tearing of muscles can occur. This type of stretching is not recommended as a safe way to improve flexibility. If done, it should only be completed by already flexible athletes and after a comprehensive warm-up. Here's an example we've seen before of our ballistic stretching. So she's bending down and up. Problem with this is if she wasn't warmed up properly, the hamstring here is getting a lot of pressure from the bouncing movement in the stretch. So she could quite easily tear her hamstring muscle. So that's ballistic stretching. And that's the end of STEM 37, boys.